Alabama, is it a lien or a deed state? Let's dive into that in this video. Like every single state that we talk about, Alabama is no different. There's hidden gems in there that make it so unique and profitable for people like you and I that are investing in tax liens and tax deeds. Let's just jump into that right now. Alabama is a tax lien state. And in this video, I'm going to show you how there's a little way where you can get properties instantaneously without having to wait the redemption period. I'm also going to show you about how the unique bidding process can actually be an advantage to investors like you and I. All these things we're going to talk about. I'm also going to talk about the bidding process. The bidding process has a little hidden gem in there that you're going to love. In this video, we're going to cover all of that. But you know the drill. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, bells, whistles, and if you have any questions, type them out in there. I answer all the questions personally, and we'll have some fun in our conversations. I do with all of you out there. So I want to say thank you for all of that. So let's get into Alabama. Alabama, like I've already said, is a lien state. Okay, there are 67 counties in Alabama, and it's a very hot state right now, and so much as not like hot, you know, African hot, but it's hot as far as a lot of people are moving there. Cost of living, the job market there is super huge. Highly educated populace. And I know that sounds funny, no offense to anybody in Alabama, but we all make our southern jokes, but the population in the demographics in there is highly educated. They've got some Defense Department stuff going on down there. It's very inexpensive to live there, so there's a ton of opportunities. The sales in Alabama have to be in May. They're all inside May in all the different counties around there. And they're selling tax lien certificates. Now, it is a 3-year redemption in Alabama with a 12% interest, and it is a premium bidding, which means if it's $1,000 and you bid over the $1,000, that effectively lowers your yield. So you need to have a strategy going in there. So in other words, I'm getting the 12%, but if I buy it for $1,005, I don't get that $5 back, so it's effectively lowering my yield. You need to have your math straight when you go in there. Here's the unique thing about Alabama. The unique thing about Alabama is, like every place out there, you have to do your research, okay? So I would highly recommend, when choosing Alabama to go into, is look at the populous areas and then start hitting the surrounding counties around there. So you don't necessarily need to go to Birmingham or Huntsville or whatever the case is, but there's all sorts of little counties around there that are going to have these pocket little sales in there that you can go in there and do quite well. Like any other place out there, let me explain how this works. In Alabama, it's very straightforward. If you look at the timeline on this, a property owner has to be delinquent for at least 1 year before it comes up for sale. After they've been delinquent 1 year, then the county's obligated to bring those up the following year in May. Okay? Now they've been 1 year delinquent. When you and I purchase that tax lien certificate and we're earning 12%, okay, we're going to be getting 3-year redemption period on it. So I want you to think about our timeline. They've been delinquent already 1 year, and now we've got 1, 2, 3 years of redemption. That's 4 years total, and now it would be time to foreclose. So just like a deed state doesn't happen until the 4th year, here is exactly the same thing. That's what I'm always saying. You can't get somebody's property for failing to pay property taxes for a couple of years. It doesn't happen nowhere in the country. At a minimum, you have to be delinquent at least 4 years before anybody takes the property. Same thing in Alabama. So I can't start the foreclosure process until my 3rd year, which means they've been delinquent 4 years. Okay, there's going to be a test on this later, so keep up. But think about the timeline. Okay, when somebody tells me there's a 3-year redemption period, I know exactly what's going on. I know they've been delinquent 1 year. When somebody tells me there's a 2-year redemption period, that means their foreclosure process is a little longer, so it's going to take me probably a year to foreclose it. There's all these nuances that you will learn as you get going for this. Alabama's no different. Okay, so I'm looking at this and I got 1 year delinquent, it goes to sale, 3-year redemption period, and then I can foreclose. Now this is crucial. If you get to foreclosure and they haven't, end of the redemption period, and they haven't paid and you want to start the foreclosure, do not do this on your own, okay? Either hire an attorney, or if they do it at that particular county, and pay them to do this, okay? You're just not set up to sit there and foreclose on properties around. I don't want to be. I know I've had students that done it in the past, and God bless them, but it's just easier to have somebody else do that. Let them do the foreclosure, make sure everybody's notified on it. So that's the cool thing about Alabama. It's a great market to get involved in. But here's a little nuance on that. Leftover properties, okay, leftover liens, whatever. Let's talk about this. This is really interesting the way Alabama does this. Okay, so let's just explain what this is. So let's say I am a county and I bring 10,000 liens up for sale. And at the end of that sale, 3,000 have gone unsold, kind of a typical situation. So what happens to those 3,000s? Now, what I've always talked about is, over the counter or assignment purchase. So let me explain how assignment purchase first got into play. When I was in Arizona a million years ago, buying tax lien certificates at the sale, I went in there and I started talking to the lady about the sale coming up next year. I wanted to look at the leftovers that hadn't sold to do some research. She said, well, nobody wants those. And I said, well, I don't want to buy them. I just want to do research, so I'm ready for next year. And she goes, okay. She literally didn't want to even give me the list. She goes, if somebody would have wanted them, they would have bought them. So I grabbed this list, and that list was over 3,000 properties. So I started doing research, just trying to get practicing, building a method, building a system that I'm sharing with you right now. And then I realized I'm looking at some of these, I'm going, wait a second, this is a good property. Okay, so I set it aside, and I'd find another one, I'd set it aside, and then I went out and looked at the properties. I'm going, okay, here's a nice property with a $1,500 lien paying 16%. What's wrong with this picture? So I went down to the county. I was talking to Elizabeth. She was the one at the county. And I said, here, this is a property that I found. I had taken Polaroids of it back in the day. Here's the property value. Here's the picture of the property. Here's the amount of lien. She goes, yeah, that looks like a good one. I said, but I thought you said none of them were good. She goes, well, there's got to be some good ones out of 3,000. I was like, okay, that was interesting. Then so I showed her a couple more, and she's like, yeah, these are all good. I said, okay, I'll save these for next year. And she goes, what do you mean next year? I said, well, I'll buy them at next year's auction. Here's the kicker. In 99% of the counties out there, once a lien comes up for sale, it cannot be brought up for sale again. It has to go into a supplemental sale. So what happens with those leftover? It goes to the state revenue department. And what happens is you don't go to the county. They will have a list of all the liens in that particular area. And you can just say, hey, I want this lien over there. It's at 13%. And if they say yes, you go down and pay within 10 days and it's yours. Here's the fun part about it. It could already have been past the redemption period. So not only do you buy the lien, but you immediately start the foreclosure process on that. And let me tell you something, all the lists go into one central location. You find the area that you want, you start going through there, you'll see the dates on the liens in there, so you'll know exactly when to buy the lien that are foreclosable on that. This is a great way for beginning investors to get started because you're using a low dollar entry fee to get into a market where it can have a big upside potential. I want you to think about this for a minute. If I buy 20 liens, okay, and they have a 3-year redemption period, the likelihood of them all redeeming are really high, okay? But if I buy 20 liens that are already past their redemption period and I start the foreclosure on it, the chances of me getting a property are really high. I want you to think it in terms of soccer, American soccer, football, everywhere else in the world. If it's shots on goal, okay? If you're shooting at the goal over and over again, you're gonna score eventually. Okay, but if you're not taking any cracks at the goal, it's not going to happen. So when I'm buying tax lien certificates, I know for a fact that I'm probably going to be redeemed. I'm buying the lien because I want to get redeemed on that. The underlying security is the property. But when I'm buying foreclosable tax lien certificates that have already gone past their 3 years, something's going on. Okay, that property owner has got notifications for 4 years and they still haven't paid it. It's still in inventory. Now, you need to be careful, okay? It goes without saying that if it's been on the roll and somebody didn't pay it, there might be something wrong with the property, but don't assume that, okay? One of the biggest pitfalls I find with new and beginning investors, they think that if it's on the list and it went to the sale, it must not be a good property. Don't assume that. Okay, but you've got to look at it with a cautious eye. So when you're doing your research, make sure that you're doing it completely. You've got photos current photos of that property, demographics of the neighborhood. What is fair market value? What is ARV, after rehab value on the property? So if I'm buying this lien on this property and I'm foreclosing immediately, I'm getting the property. So I better have the value that I want on that property. There's a lot of factors. So you've got two things that are happening. Okay, you've got the regular sale, and then you've got the leftovers. Leftovers are done on a state level, regular sale on a county level. You can choose both or just particularly go after the one you want. So you've got kind of, I don't want to say it's a dual state, but it almost fits my criteria for a dual state. There's all sorts of great things happening in Alabama. And plus, if you haven't been, go. It's a beautiful state to do business in. And if you want any more information on this, I got some free training for you. Just go to higginsmethod.com. We got that training, and we also got a new book for you that I'll give you for free on that. It's America's Secret Investment Strategy. Both of those is my gift to you to make sure you and your family hit the financial goals you're always trying to do. This is Saen Higgins saying God bless and good luck.